Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is, of course, HD StarCraft, and I'm here to bring you guys another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And this is going to be from the most recent patch of HOTS. This is after balance patch number 12, which we had a couple of changes. Reapers now have a little bit more HP, and Zerg now can burrow underground at Hatchery Tech, and Protoss have a few changes as well to the Void Ray, namely a little bit of a nerf to the supply cost. So not too many changes in beta patch 12. I'm thinking here with Heart of the Swarm just a few months away, Blizzard is probably going to have a couple more changes, but they're probably starting to finalize here as we're getting closer and closer to the release date of the long-awaited expansion here for HOTS. Now, the players I'll be casting today is going to be Shimoon once again, cWc.Shimoon, cuz we can is the clan name, and he is a Red Terran player at the 5 o'clock position of Antigua Shipyard. His opponent is going to be Fnatic.NightEnd, and haven't casted a game of NightEnd in some time. In fact, haven't really casted a Heart of the Swarm game of NightEnd ever, so this should be a good one. It's going to be a Protoss versus Terran, and it is once again going to be on Antigua Shipyard. We do have a gateway coming out right now from NightEnd. And one thing that Protoss players do have to be aware of now is the resurgence of the Reaper. It's not quite as good when it comes to attacking workers anymore because they do less damage to workers and light units, but they are a little bit faster, they have a little bit more HP, and they're available now without a tech lab. So that's one thing that Protoss do have to keep their eyes peeled out for. And if you recall back in the days, the early days of Wings of Liberty, a lot of Terran players were going with 2 racks expand style, where they would pump out a few Reapers out of a tech lab barracks and then try to harass the Protoss. That forced Protoss players to get a Stalker out right away. They still get the Stalker out right away these days, but it's more important than ever before, I feel like, because the Reaper can be a threat in the early game now if you're not prepared for it. Now, we do have no Reapers coming because, of course, Shimoon doesn't have any gas, and NightEnd does confirm that by sending that probe into the main base. He is trying to try to get this probe outside. Oh, I thought that CV was going to try to build a supply depot there, but it ended up not being able to, or perhaps Shimoon decided not to. Now the Marine is out, so that probe is probably going to have to hightail it out of there and get back home safely as it makes its way away. Now, on the other side, we do have Shimoon trying to get his SCV scout over to the Protoss base because this is on the ladder. You don't actually know where your opponent spawns. It can be at any of the 4 potential spawn points. Of course, since as a player you do take one of the spawn points, that only leaves 3 remaining ones behind. Now, Shimoon is going for a command center, and he still doesn't have a droplet of gas being mined yet. That'll probably change pretty soon here because most Terran players opt to tech right away up to factory against Protoss because they'll need to get up either to starport or to get, to get to starport, either if they want to go for a quick Banshee or if they want to go for medevac support or if they want to go for a factory and play mech. Which is viable of course, in this expansion. That SCV is going to make its way over to the natural, and it will see NightEnd here going for a Nexus with a second gas on the way. NightEnd could opt to go for a quick Twilight, quick Stargate. A lot of possibilities here for Protoss. Nothing is really nothing is really cemented, you know, in Heart of the Storm. There's so many new strategies and options available now that you know, it's kind of its own brewing mold, if you will. It's its own stirring pot. You can really have any type of build orders coming out in the early game nowadays, and a lot of different strategies in Heart of the Swarm. Nothing has been perfected by the Koreans yet, I guess would be the terminology I'm looking for. A couple of Marines inside of the main base, just kind of on patrol duty, making sure that nothing flies inside into Terran airspace. We do have, speaking of flight, a Mothership core coming out of the Nexus right now. And of course, remember guys, with the latest patch, not the latest patch, but the patch prior, the Mothership core had a few changes. It now has Time Warp available to it as taken from the Oracle, now placed on the Mothership core. A very, very useful ability. And great in the early game, I feel like, if a Protoss were to harass. Looks like those Zealots are going to try to destroy these unbuildable plates with the help of the Mothership core, and that is going to go down. And we'll see if NightEnd decides to launch any type of aggression here. He looks like for now, even though he's got a Mothership core out, he's going to play things safe. Of course, the Mothership Core originally was thought of as a defensive unit, and all of its abilities seem to indicate thus, except for Mass Recall. That's the one kind of X factor for the Mothership Core. If you ever do get aggressive with your units, the great thing about it is it acts as a quick retreat option for Protoss if they choose to, if they choose to utilize that. So it's a great overall unit. As Shimoon here is looking to go with Bio, he does have a couple of barracks. He's now researching Stim Pack on that tech lab. And he has a couple of Marines coming out right now. Is he planning to make an attack, or is he going to play it safe and try to just control the Xel'Naga Tower? Only time will tell. And he does have a factory back at home. Looks like a couple of Marauders are coming out. Both players really kind of opting to go with more of a conventional ground-based army. You don't see any early Void Rays, you don't see any Widow Mines or Hellbats or anything like that coming out. Of course, don't forget the Hellbat now is an insane unit against all types of units, not just against Light anymore, so it's a very, very good unit overall. But Shimoon is opting to play with Bio here as NightEnd is pushing into the middle of the field. Stim Pack will not be done yet, it's on the way, so these Marines probably don't stand a chance. And they'll have to get out of there right now. And it looks like they are in retreat right now. Only one Marine goes down, but that is going to forfeit Xel'Naga Tower control to NightEnd. It was looking pretty good to start this game off, I must say. He's got a robotics support bay down as well, or about to be down momentarily, so we're going to have Colossus coming out from NightEnd. Great unit, of course, against Terran ground. It always has been. The Colossus is just the eliminator of all biological forces. So Shimoon is going to have to get some Vikings out here pretty quickly, because not only is the Colossus coming, but also the extended thermal lance upgrade. So to counter that effectively, Shimoon will need to get Vikings on production ASAP. He is making a couple of medevacs right now. Do note the Caduceus reactor no longer an insanely good upgrade as it was before. It was re-nerfed back to its original state, so it's not as good as it was before, but it's still an okay upgrade. Nothing really special. And here we go. It looks like NightEnd is thinking about making something happen here. He's got the Mothership Core and a small army to the left as the Terran biological forces push towards the Xel'Naga Tower now. An observer is keeping tabs on this army, and it looks like NightEnd is actually going to push. Is he going to try to recall his whole army into Shimoon's base? That's got to be what he's doing right now. I'm so confused right now. It looks like NightEnd just wants to attack with this army. Is he going to recall the rest of his army over? No, excuse me, the Mothership Core, I always confuse its recall ability, but it can only recall towards a Nexus. So there we go. It is going to retreat its army back home. You know, when you think of recall, you think of Arbiter, and you think, oh my god, here it comes, and it's going to bring all of its army in, but I do tend to get confused about that. So it does look like NightEnd was just thinking about making an attack with really an army that isn't designed to kill anything. So maybe it was just a posture, and NightEnd is out of there now. He's retreated back home. But some of that energy was used up, which he might need for a time warp. We'll see as the bio from Shimoon is pushing into the middle of the field. A third Nexus is on the way. And NightEnd is going to have to try to make a stand here. Doesn't want to let that Nexus go down. Only 2 Marines are there right now, so he should be able to pick those off with the Colossus he's got on the field. But the Colossus have now been revealed. So Shimoon, if he didn't know before, he knows now, and he needs to start to make Vikings, as we do have Vikings on the production tab. And just showing you guys some of the tabs right now. Really been a calm game so far. Nothing too crazy yet. But as Shimoon has 2 medevacs outside of the Protoss main base, he's thinking about making a drop here, so all hell could break loose, but I doubt he'll try to commit into a group of Zealots on the ground, especially not knowing if they have charge or not. Even then, even without charge, you don't generally want to drop your army into a bunch of awaiting Zealots. So it looks like he is going to pull back and unload the army in the middle of the map as NightEnd is going around counterclockwise. And maybe thinking about just walking his Colossus into the main base. This is the second time he's postured like this. And every time I feel like, you know, most Protoss would be crazy for doing this, but he's got the Mothership Core. So if things get out of hand, he can just recall straight back home. And so we'll see what happens here. Most of the bio has stemmed up, so they are weakened right now. They are on the other side of the map as well. NightEnd is pushing in. Is he going to use a Time Warp? He's just using Guardian Shield right now. There is a couple of Vikings there, so this Mothership Core needs to be careful. It only has enough health for... Oh, wasn't even able to get anything done. So now this army is pretty much stranded. NightEnd needs to focus the Colossus down on these SCVs and pick off as many SCVs as he possibly can. before the Colossus fall down. And it looks like with the Zealots on the ground, they were able to kill up most of the SCVs. 18 SCVs total have gone down already, and great force fields right there just to buy his Zealots a little bit more time. Eventually they will go down, but was it worth it? Because now you gotta imagine that Shimoon has gotta be thinking in the back of his mind, counterattack, counterattack, counterattack. I just lost a bunch of SCVs, but none of my army, and I was able to kill off almost the entire Protoss army. So now is the time, if there ever was a time to counterattack. But hey, there's a lot of Zealots. Now they're charge lots. Waiting back at home, almost like they're ready for the wave of Terran arrivals. But is it enough charge lots with the addition of some Archons perhaps? Now Templars do not have the research yet for Storm, so he's just immediately warping them into Archons. But you know, here comes the Bio army, and they are 1-1 upgraded. Is it going to be enough to cleave through the Zealots, which have 2 shields, excuse me? And pretty smart there to get the shield upgrade, because that is going to help the Archons immensely. And here comes a drop though from Shimoon. So Shimoon says, alright, I'm not going to attack right into the ground. I'm just going to go straight and drop and bombard your main base and split your army apart. It looks like he is going to use emergency boosters or ignite afterburners to get out of there. But he was able to take out one building, nothing too critical. NightEnd now pushing into the middle of the field with his charge lots. And once again, we have almost like both armies completely bypassing each other, because Shimoon is inside the Protoss third base, and he's going to be able to take out this Nexus. And at the same time, NightEnd is over at the Terran third base, so he's going to be able to take out the command center, or at least all the SCVs once again. So, we have another almost seemingly potential base race situation here. These Marauders and Marines, though, do not have medevac support, which means they are very, very susceptible to just Zealots that have come in and cleave them apart. And this orbital command is going to go down thanks to the Archons underneath. So Shimoon loses a base. NightEnd loses a base, but NightEnd drops into the Protoss main base, takes out a Colossus. And here comes some Zealots trying to warp in. Will it be enough to clean up the Marauders and Marines? This is where the medevacs were. They were going for the drop, not healing the other army at the third base. But I don't think Shimoon's got enough to hold on here. There's just too many charge lots. He's gonna have to retreat. In the meantime, NightEnd blows through the Terran natural. Of course, there isn't much here as the evacuation order was already signaled, and most of the SCVs, the orbital command, the entire city has been elevated. And now NightEnd's just gonna camp the natural as Shimoon controls the ramp. As long as Shimoon doesn't let this Protoss army into his main base, then he's still okay. But he needs to do more damage to the Protoss player, because it's gonna be a 2-base, 1-base scenario. If he doesn't, he knows that he's gonna try to get, it seems like, a drop in here, but he's not paying attention. And these medevacs are just chilling right now. He might actually know that there is no Stalkers here, there's no Archons here, so he's just hanging out for now. But I wonder why. Maybe just to distract the majority or the remainder of the Protoss army from coming and backing up this offensive force. I'm not sure. It looks like he's going to pull back the medevacs for now. And not looking good at all, I feel like, for the Terran player Shimoon. NightEnd is in control of this game, but hey, we do have a Ghost Academy here now researching Mobius Reactor, so it is going to have the ability for these ghosts to have a lot of EMP. We'll see if he gets Cloak as well, because against charge out Archons and Templars, that is the unit you need. If you're going bio, you need ghosts. And he needs them so desperately right now. It looks like he has a factory just floating overhead, the new third Nexus, as he drops into the main base here with the Marauders, Marines, and even a Viking is here as well. But a lot of charge lots there, and the Mothership Core using the Photon Overcharge ability will push the medevacs away. And now that there are Templar here as well, it's unlikely that this drop is going to be successful at all. Meantime, NightEnd just controlling the middle of the map, absolutely dominant right now. He's lost 2,000 less resources than the Terran player has. In terms of overall income, he has 7 less harvesters, but just look at the supply. He's at 164 over 106. Shimoon is supply blocked right now, and he's trying to make supply depots at the front to serve a dual purpose, but the depots will probably just go down here. So I don't know, if he can hold here, then he might have a chance, but it's a grim thought. I don't think he can. There's a storm that just comes down. A second storm comes. These Marauders and Marines have nowhere to run. One of the supply depots has been blown through, so the entirety of the Protoss army is now inside. And Shimoon is, I mean, he is just getting ripped apart by Psionic Storm. And he calls GG. So NightEnd does take the victory right there. and just showing, I guess, Fnatic.NightEnd's true power here in Heart of the Swarm. Don't forget about him. I haven't casted a game of him yet. I didn't even know he was playing Heart of the Swarm at this high of a level, but there it goes, man. He's shown that he's quite talented. Of course, didn't see too many Heart of the Swarm base units. It was mostly more of a Wings of Liberty playstyle, but we did see a little bit of interesting movements with those mothership cores and their offensive attacks. Anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast. I do have a couple more replays I want to cast for you guys, but if you guys know anybody playing Heart of the Swarm at a high level, feel free to have them send those replays into me at HDreplays@gmail.com. For now, this is HD StarCraft, and I am signing out.